Okay, hello everyone. I am Alba Thaqi. I'm so happy to be part of Rrezearta Pristina 2025, and also thank you for all staying to hear our presentation. Together with Rrezearta, we decided a topic like the hidden battlefield, navigating the legal gray zones of cyber conflicts. We are going through this presentation, through the parts that sometimes even when we want to contribute for a war in with cyber, but we also have to know the legal parts. But also for everyone that maybe for a near future, hope so not, but we have to need some things. So let's start with the first part, as with famous Ukraine conflict with Russia. On February 2022, it was a conflict between Ukraine and Russia, and also the famous published call was from Minister of Digital Transformation, Mikhail, that wanted to create an IT army. Everyone wanted to be part of this army. They consider as a noble thing, like students or IT workers, people who know cybers, and anyone wanted to be part of this this organization or IT army. But also, when they wanted to be part of this army, they also thought for some questions. For example, if I can help you behind the screen, but am I protected to do this, like in a legal form? Also, when you think about that, it was such a big influence for this IT army, and also someone just wanted to do for the experience and someone wanted to do for help. But when you think about that, international norms didn't think about this in this form. They didn't consider like help. They also thought ICRC and ICC thought it in two different ways. For example, ICRC said that civilians should not engage in cyber conflicts, like helping with cyber in conflicts between two states. Because when you say that, you are avoiding targeting civilian infrastructure. But also, Ukraine, especially the minister, was in that mind that if we do an IT army, we are going to destroy Russian infrastructure, services, communication channels, that it will be better for Ukraine. And of course, maybe they try to win on this in this cyber war between those two states. But when ICC saw in a different way and also thought that maybe could have protection for those people, then wanted maybe to help, but they're not helping in a legal way. So when they thought on that way, every person that enjoyed in this IT army, that had a talk between them, they had to think that being part of a cyber warfare, it's not a game, but it's a real thing. And also, they gave it some other advices that they had to be, because when you think about it, it was very dangerous for that person. Because you wasn't a soldier, but you was just a person behind a screen. So, talking through this, it was cyber attacks against civilians during wartime. Thinking about two different concepts like ICIC and IRCC, the United Nations think it about in a different way. Like they have some key factors that presented to the persons that were behind the screens that wanted to help with Ukraine. But they said, okay, you wanted to enjoy or you created IT army, but when you think about that, if you do something wrong, like for example, you just block the internet access on a hospital and a lot of people die because from your responsibility, do you think that the other country will pick you up or will pick your state. So you have to also think about that. And when you also think, like I think about it, and you will be just, for example, Alba that did that, so it's Alba's responsibility. So, of course, during a lot of discussion and conflicts between this IT army, they decided to be part and also introduce some international laws that protect those soldiers. So they decided to go as an IT army, Ukraine IT army. When also you were part of this, you had to think, or you have to take some responsibility. When you think about this, cyber operation can also go to a genocide. And when you are going to a genocide, it will be also when you have all the person's life in your hand, you will be a responsibility for that. But also, if they specifically target a national, ethnic, or religious group and cause death, fear, or physical trauma, it's also kind of genocide. So that it was the exact thing that Russia made with Ukraine. Also did those things and also tried with cyber to hide some things. So they also said that if you want to do that, try to not do genocide, because if you target group causes like caution death, fear, or physical trauma, legal repercussions. So it was kind of that everything that you are doing under international laws, and also you will be protected at this part. But when you think about legal review of cyber weapons, for people that was on government part, they thought that, okay, cyber weapons and also with kinetic weapons are the same. Like, it was the first question that they made. If you just realize, yes, they are. Because maybe if we need on to 1991 or 1943 on war, like other wars, like traditional wars, if you have just guns or you fight with them, but then we are fighting with cyber. So when you think about that, they said, okay, if you want the answer, yes, they are exactly the same. But if I want to activate the nuclear, I will activate by my screen and not going on physical part. So that was the discussion that they had with government part. But also they had too many ransomware that not helped, but also helped to do like too many bad things. Also for going down internet access on hospitals that had a lot of victims. Also for internet access for energy, electric energy, and also for water. And it was such a hard time for Ukraine. But when you think about that, when you think about that, to be a civilian hacker, you also just was a civilian. But they think about that, why not a civilian hacker to be more? To be like someone that is like a real soldier that wants to help. But also that they have the three conditions for legally targeting civilian hackers, like it was a threshold of harm, that it was belligerent, also a causal link between the hacker's action and the harm, and also the third one, it was harm threshold. When as a civilian soldier you completed these three conditions, you was a new soldier of IT Army of Ukraine. So about the other part and other cases that happened, Rrezearta will continue.
Okay, so before continuing, I just wanted to present myself. So, hello everyone, I'm Rrezearta Thaqi. I'm currently a senior DevOps engineer at Rrezearta, Kosovo, at the same time a PhD researcher at the University of Pristina. So, until now, Alba has told us some of the legal parts, the legal reasons, different events that are directly related to cyber warfare. But what I'm going to show you now, it's how can we supposed to know who is the target and who is the cause for every cyber attack or cyber attack war between two or more countries or vice versa. Like we have here a decision tree for legal targeting. So as we all know, we saw decision tree only in machine learning as an algorithm, right? But in our case, we were going to use this to answer some question for 3 of the case studies that I'm going to show you in the next slides, based on some answers of these questions that I showed in this slide. Like, for example, in the next 3 case studies, we're going to see if there is a conflict underway, is there a hacker or a member of the armed force, or is the hacker a part of or a member of an organized crime group? The cyber attack resulted in death or injury? Was the cyber attack directed against a critical infrastructure? Were there any blackout, violent effects, etc.? And also we're going to see 3 main steps that are going to help us in this direction. To assess the conflicts, to evaluate the status, and also to determine the impact. So there are several case studies that illustrate the complexity of the cyber warfare and also its legal complications. So if we go at the first case study, that is Junaid Hussain. I don't know if you have heard this case study. But until we analyze what is the main cause of his death from the US drone strike that happened in August 2015, we're going to see who was he and what was his intentions, his attacks, etc. So Junaid Hussain was just a cyber attack hacker that was a propagandist on the social media platforms, especially on the US and UK ones. And how this happened? So first, he tried to simulate some attacks as a hacker that he were, to get personal information from the US military persons that were serving for US, but also for the UK. So if we go back to those questions, that will help us to decide of what was the main reason that the importance of this target was raised. So what is the main intention of this drone strike from the US in August 2015? So if we see in the overview of this attack and what was the reason, we can see that from this cyber attack that there weren't any death or injuries in this case, but there were also only the stealing of the personal data of the users or the person that were serving. And also, if we look at the other questions, we can see that there weren't any conflict underway, or that hacker wasn't any member of the armed forces. But if we see the third question, if he was a member of an organized crime group, then yes. So that person in the first case study was part of a crime group with different other person that had as a target these personal data of the US military services in order to use against them. So, if we continue with all the parts, we can see different things and different answers for each of the questions that we saw from the slides before. So, the second case study that was very interesting, and it was something that was witnessed for the first time in the world, is the ISIS anonymous war. So, what is this? This is anonymous war. A group of people that were anonymous stated or declared the war between 2 Islamic states that were started. But if we see, this war wasn't like a physical war, but it was from the cyber attacks that were going to be used. The cyber attacks was a tool that was going to be used as a war against these 2 countries from another part that were anonymous. So, if we see also those questions from before. So, is there a conflict underway? We can see that yes, because this case study also triggered a conflict between those two states. We can see the other questions. For example, was the hacker a member of armed forces, organized crime group? Was the cyber attack resulted in death or injury? Then we will have no. So in this case, we can see that this target cannot be legally targeted or to have a reason maybe to kill him or to remove him from the country or to get him in prison or something. But we can see from the case study itself, there was a direct impact, especially in 2017, that it also served in many other different conflicts that were through the way that were related to cyber attacks. The third case study is the Ukraine power grid attack. So this case study is very interesting because this is for the first time that a cyber attack was done to a critical infrastructure. In this case, it was a cyber attack that was done towards the power grids of Ukraine. So after this attack in December 2015, the power grid was attacked and almost more than 200,000 users were blacked out and didn't have power, or there was a power outage for 1 to 6 hours. This was attributed first to some Russian hackers, but then later it was blamed on the Russian government towards Ukraine. But it was said then that from a threat group known as Sandworm has done this, and then it was attributed at the first point of fault for all this attack that was happened to the power grids of Ukraine. And this was the first publicly acknowledged successful cyber attack on a power grid. So if we go to the questions here, we can see a question that was a cyber attack directed against a critical infrastructure like a power grid. So in this case, we have yes. Or was there any blackouts? Was there any violent effects? We saw that in that case study that we were a blackout for a lot of users that were using that power from the power grid. So in these cases, we saw that we didn't have positive answers in all of the questions. So if we want, for example, or if a state wants to have legally target a person or a group of people for any situation or any attack that have happened to their state, we just need to have those answers, yes, as many as possible in these questions that we had in this slide. So even there was like a drone strike for the first case study, there weren't enough positive answers to be as a reason for United States to be as a target for this attack that has been done in the state. Neither for the other two case studies that we saw before. So what can we conclude from all this presentation? So we saw also before the impact that AI may have for detecting and for evolving this legal parts of cyber attacks, not only for different countries, but also for different persons against different critical infrastructures. So we saw that also cyber weapons or some of the tools that can help to shape the conflict between two states or more, because we saw that cyber attacks was the most the biggest reason that helped to evolve the war, in this case, between those countries. If we see other three key factors, we saw the main key factors that we had through the presentation was the harm, intent, and the participation. And what we also discussed the most through these case studies was the participation part, and also what harm or intent did that member have towards the cyber attack in order to have its importance as a target. And also the last but not least was this ICC precedents. There were the international courts that are setting precedents. Like, for example, in this case, what could be better for the states, governments, or the other people that are working towards the prevention of the cyber attacks between the states or between the people, to use as more regulation from the ICC and also from IRCR. towards to prevent these, and also to use this AI and cyber weapons, because we can see the cyber weapons has started to be used in order to prevent a lot of conflicts that are towards these cyber attacks that are happening today, but also in the past. So thank you all for your attention. If you have any questions, we will be glad to answer. Thank you.